Hey everyone, today I'm making a card doing some embossing, heat embossing, and I'm using my Brutus Monroe Embossing ink and their Raven embossing powder, and I'm just going to be embossing over a stencil. Now normally I emboss with stamps, but you can do it over a stencil, and the way I'm doing it is I'm just laying down the stencil. This one's from the Crafter's Workshop, and then I'm just taking my little cube of embossing ink and smooshing it over the top so that I am getting that stenciled impression. And then I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle on my embossing powder. Now, when you're doing it over a stencil, chances are you're not going to get a really crisp, clean embossing, but I thought the sort of a loose background for this card would look really nice, so I'm going ahead with it. And I'm just kind of tapping off some of the excess there. Now, I got a few spots where you kind of saw the square from the cube, and I didn't want it to have the shape from the cube of ink there, so I just took a paintbrush and I brushed a little bit away, and then I went ahead and hit it with my heat tool and embossed it. So that's going to be part of my background. I also want to add a little bit of color, so I'm taking one of my new favorite Brutus Monroe colors, which is Speckled Egg, and I'm just going to be blending some of that on top of this embossed background. Now, embossing is really fun to add some color over the top too, because it acts as a resist. So you could emboss a background, you could emboss some stamps, and then go ahead and add watercolor or inks or color bursts or anything you want over the top, and it's going to resist it. So it's a really fun technique. You can do a whole lot of different things with it. Now I'm taking some more of this Speckled Egg surface ink, and I'm going to be mixing it with some water. Now I'm doing this on my Brutus Monroe craft mat, which I love. It's just the perfect craft mat for me. I love it. I just smushed them down onto my craft mat. I mixed it with water and picked it up with a brush, and I'm just adding some splatters. Now I just thought this added a little bit more texture, a little bit more interest to the background, so I have a little something going on more than just a little bit of embossing and color, and I just thought it worked and looked pretty good. Now this craft mat is so easy to wipe clean, so after I did this I just cleaned it off, and then I applied my background onto a card base, and now I'm going to be bringing in some different embellishment pieces. Now this is just a little I think it's glassine bag. I'm not exactly sure. I think that's the material for it. And I just thought it would be really fun to put a few sequins in there and make sort of a shaker type card, not like a regular shaker card, but you just have like this little bag that's got some sequins, and it's got a little bit more interest to it. So I'm grabbing some of my sequin mixes. Now the one I'm using is from Dress My Craft. I just liked the colors. I thought they worked well with the colors I picked for the background, so I filled my little bag with some of those. And now I'm taking some of these washi strips. These are some Heidi Swapp washi strips, and they're really for your planner, but I thought they would look really well. Look really nice on this card here. So I'm just adding a few of them with some colors and patterns that I thought would coordinate, and I'm going to be layering them on. Now I'm also layering on, you may have seen that little flower there. That flower is a layering stamp, and I stamped the layers with Brutus Monroe's surface ink. Their surface inks layer beautifully. I am just loving layering with their inks, and I also put on some deco foil from ThermoWeb, and I have a video on how I did that, so I'll try to link that up in the top. Now to close my little shaker bag, I took it over to my sewing machine and I just sewed the top shut, and now I'm just kind of snipping off the excess. I wanted to leave a few little threads hanging there. I just thought that would be kind of cute, and I'm getting those sequins moving around in that little bag. So I'm trying to lay out where I want all of my embellishments to go and how I want it to look before I go ahead and adhere them down. So I'm taking my ATG and I'm going to apply some to this little bag. The ATG, the tape runner, the tape adhesive was not sticking as well as I would like, so I have a few pieces on there, but then I did grab my Tombow liquid adhesive to put a little bit on the back and just stick that down onto my card base. And so I also used some liquid adhesive as well as my ATG for some of my other embellishments. I do like the liquid adhesive just because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room before it dries to kind of get your embellishments in the right spot. And then I went ahead and I put down that flower. I used some liquid adhesive again, and I used a little bit of foam adhesive to kind of pop it up. Now you can see it here. I sewed this little piece again. I'm using a little bit of foam adhesive just on the end that's going to be hanging off. And then I'm putting some liquid adhesive on the part that's going over the bag. And that's because the bag has a little bit of dimension to it. So in order to account for those different heights from the bag and the card's background, I'm using liquid and foam adhesive. So that's just a little trick that you can use to get it the right height, even though you have some of your embellishments that are differing heights. Just adding a little bit more adhesive behind my embellishments there just to keep them all adhered down. And now this little thanks die is really tiny, so I decided to grab my Zig pen adhesive, and I really love this adhesive for the tiny die cuts and tiny sentiments. It just puts down a small dot of adhesive wherever you push it down, and then you can put it onto your card or your project, and it works really well. It holds really well. I've never had any problems with it. You do just want to hold it for a few seconds just to make sure it stays pressed down, but I really like this adhesive for small pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down onto my card, and I did go ahead and I held it there for several seconds just as the adhesive dried so it stay in place. So that is pretty much the card for today. The last thing I did was I grabbed a little bit of silver Wink of Stella, and I like to use this silver over some of my black sentiments or my black embellishments and things. It just gives it a little bit of extra sparkle and shine, which is what I was going for. And then that's pretty much the card today. I did off camera add a little golden butterfly sticker up to the top corner, so you'll see that at the end. But if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to visit my blog for links and more photos, and check out the rest of the inspiration team this week from my blog. There'll be a list of links to their blog, and you can go see what they're doing with embossing powders as well. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I will see you next time. Bye!